Hey folks, it's Jordan here from Overlode, and I have just sat down and watched the state of play for Horizon Forbidden West, and I thought I'd give you my reactions to the video, what they showed, what they didn't show, specifically a date, and just my thoughts on the state of PlayStation at the moment, the state of play, if you will. So they showed about 15 minutes worth of gameplay. It was a mission in which Aloy had to infiltrate a camp in order to rescue one of her friends that has been captured by a new tribe that has been introduced. This tribe has the ability to control the beasts, so that's their big threat, is that they can take over the creatures and use them against you. And it looked great. The combat looks as good as it was in the first game, even more fluid. They integrated things like using the spear a lot more. There was a charge attack with the spear that specifically looked very good. It wasn't revolutionary looking. It didn't give me the same feelings as, you remember the first time they showed Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart? Everyone was like, oh my god, how are they doing that? How does that work? Is that what you can do on a PS5? And I just didn't see that with Horizon Forbidden West. Probably because that game is also coming to PlayStation 4, and thus they can't do something that is so incredibly next generation without kind of hamstringing it for the previous generation. So the advancements you're getting are things like visual fidelity, and I'm sure loading times will be non-existent on the PS5 version. But yeah, it wasn't the most fully featured state of play there's ever been. I think they showed just enough to get people excited, but it seemed like a state of play for a game that was much further away than I presumed it was, because going into this I was like, okay, we're officially in the E3 kind of season. There is more and more of these small presentations. This morning there was that Sonic one for people who enjoy Sonic, but it's like, this is the time where you get out and you say, here is our date. And I've been saying for a while, I think this is a November game. I think this is their big Christmas game, because it's not God of War. God of War's not coming out this year. I'd be shocked if it comes out next year. But this should be their big Christmas game. Gran Turismo got pushed, and there's nothing else really in the immediate future that we can talk about. The next Final Fantasy is miles away, and things like a potential full Spider-Man 2 is kicked down the line. Ratchet's in a few weeks after that. But at the end of the state of play, no date was announced, no indication of when we might hear a date, just a general we'll give you more updates closer to launch. So it makes me wonder, what do Sony have for the rest of the year? They have Kena Bridge of Spirits, which comes out in July time, but that's more of a that's not a big AAA game. They had the Demon Souls remake last year. They had Miles Morales, which people can argue about, but it's a fantastic game. And then early this year, they've had Returnal, which I think is amazing, like the best game on PS5, as you may have heard. But it's not your God of Wars, it's not Horizon, it's not, like, this time last year we were gearing up for The Last of Us 2, and we kind of knew what we were going into towards the end of the year. So what do they have? It's interesting, because obviously the current pandemic has affected game development in a way that I don't think a lot of consumers have accepted yet, in the sense that this has pushed development way down the road for tons of different games. It has made games that were in the early stages even further out, because that kind of collaborative process just doesn't work as well when you're across a Zoom call, as opposed to if you're all in a studio batting ideas back and forth. It's made those games in the mid-range take longer, because it's difficult doing things from home when it has to go through so many different hoops. If art and gameplay have to check everything off from each other, it's going to be difficult to do that when you can't walk down the hall to go and ask a question, you know? The reason that games managed to still come out last year was because they were nearly there. All these big decisions were done, they were just getting pushed out the door. So it leaves you wondering what is left for the rest of the year. Dying Light 2 finally got a release date of December 6th or 7th. And I'm wondering if that even makes that, because that seems so late in the year that around like November time or October we'll get okay, so it's delayed until January. Pokemon's the end of the year. Well, the Diamond and Pearl remakes are the end of the year. Arceus is sadly next year. But I'm gonna let me take a small jaunt over to 2021 in video games, which is the premier source for every games journalist when they have absolutely no idea what's coming out. But when we really scroll down here, so we're in June, we've got Ratchet and Guilty Gear Strive, which come out in the same day, and then like, I'm kind of the Skyward Sword HD for people that are pure into that. God help you. Kane of Bridge Spirits is in August, and that's not even a PlayStation developed thing. It's just a PlayStation exclusive. Well, it's on PC as well, but you know what I mean. And then the end of the year, we've got Deathloop, which is PlayStation 5's big holiday game published by Microsoft. We've got the sequel to Judgment. We've got Back 4 Blood. Ghostwire Tokyo is apparently coming out in October, which is another game published by Microsoft, which is hilarious. And then November 11th, GTA 5. You know it, you love it. The game of the year 2021, undefeated. And yeah, it seems like Sony need to come out and have like an hour-long state of play and be like, don't worry, this is what we've got. But like, I'm racking my brains thinking what that could be, like thinking about what the teams are doing at the moment. The Ghost of Tsushima team, nowhere near ready a new game, obviously, only came out last year. That we're talking 2024 before anything like that materializes. Obviously Insom are just about to put out Ratchet. They just finished Miles, so Spider-Man 2 is a way down the line. I just can't see any game that they have being ready to go unless this is their Christmas game, which it must be. I can't imagine a Christmas season in which this doesn't come out. They're not going to struggle for selling PS5s. We're a good year and a half away before they have any incentive to actually put things on the PS5, because people will just buy them the second they are available. But for people that have bought in, what are they going to be playing apart from third parties? And even on the third party side, obviously Far Cry will get a release date in a couple of weeks, or next, I think it's tomorrow actually when they're doing that presentation. That'll probably get a release date then. And obviously you've got your EA games, but it's a bit of a, I say disappointing year. It's a slow year. It was always going to be a slow year. It's the first year of a new console, which is traditionally slow, plus otherworldly events making it so that production is ground to a halt. So I just don't know where we're going to be at come Game of the Year time. Is it just going to be like, well, Returnal, that'll do. Ratchet, if Ratchet's good, they'll be like, oh, well, Ratchet. And then Halo, if Halo comes out, which, we'll see. Yeah, I want to know your thoughts. What is getting you excited in games now? Because I really don't know where to go, like, in terms of what to be excited for the end of the year. Deathloop will be fantastic. Ghostwire Tokyo, at the very least, will be interesting. And I'll play another version of GTA 5. But what are you looking forward to? And do you have the new consoles and do you regret getting them? Or is it the kind of thing where you're like, I got one, it will eventually have enough games of its own for me to play and get my money's worth? Or are you just like, I bought one, I play all my third parties on this, so I feel great? Anyway, let me know. Thanks for indulging me having this bit of a crisis over what am I going to play? What am I going to review? We've never given anything a 10. Is something's going to come out that gets a 10? If you'd like to support Overlode, you can do so at patreon.com/overload, or you can support us just as much by subscribing to the channel. Until next time, I'm Jordan Midler. See you later. Support for Overlode is provided by our incredible patrons. To support us and receive access to perks and exclusives such as Patreon-only video series, check out patreon.com/overload or click the link in the description. Thank you.